Let's dive into 10 fascinating tidbits about Australia that are sure to blow your mind. From the largest living structure on the planet to a lake with a uniquely pink hue, get ready for a journey through this country's most captivating elements. Are you ready? Number 1. Did you know Australia has a quirky fact about its sheep population? The country boasts a whopping 3 times more sheep than human inhabitants, showcasing a fascinating demographic quirk. With over 74 million sheep, making up about 6.3% of the world's sheep population, Australia stands out as a giant in the agricultural scene, especially when it comes to sheep farming. This phenomenon not only reflects the vastness of its agricultural sector, but also underscores the significance of livestock farming in the Australian economy and cultural fabric, cementing the country as one of the global leaders in terms of sheep-to-person ratio. Number 2. Ever heard of some offbeat competitions like cockroach racing? Well, in Australia, specifically at the Storybridge Hotel in Brisbane, they host the World Cockroach Racing Championship, an event that's become a staple in Australia Day celebrations. Every year, this quirky affair draws competitors from all over the globe, all eager to join in on this peculiar festival where cockroaches take center stage. The event not only features a range of categories and activities for the races, but also encourages participants to train and bring their own cockroaches to the championship. Meticulously organized, it grabs the attention of a large and enthusiastic crowd, with many placing bets on their favorite roaches. This competition not only adds a touch of excitement and rivalry to the festivities, but also highlights the Australian penchant for out-of-the-ordinary celebrations. Number 3. Ever wonder how Canberra snagged the title of Australia's capital? Well, it's quite a tale, all thanks to a tussle between Sydney and Melbourne. Both cities were big shots and weren't keen on handing over the capital crown to each other. This intense rivalry led to a deadlock, making it impossible to pick either one for the capital. Faced with this pickle, the solution was to pick a spot that was on neutral ground, away from both cities' influence. So Canberra, strategically positioned between Sydney and Melbourne, emerged as the sweet spot. This spot got the nod to be the capital, providing a fair shake and keeping clear of any existing beef. Canberra scored its capital status as a way to break the gridlock, setting up a central hub for governance in the country. Number 4. Ever wondered about the sheer number of beaches Australia has? Picture this. If you decided to hit up a different Aussie beach every day, it'd take you over 27 years to see them all. That's because Australia is surrounded by a sprawling coastline and boasts over 12,000 beaches dotted around its turf. Each of these beaches shines with its own unique beauty, offering up a plethora of activities and natural wonders, from the famous Bondi Beach in Sydney to the remote Stokes Bay on Kangaroo Island, off the coast of South Australia. The richness of Australia's beaches showcases the diversity of the country's coastal landscapes, opening up a world of exploration and adventure along its shores. Number 5. Ever thought about trying kangaroo meat? In Australia, it's pretty common to come across this delicacy in markets, butcher shops, and eateries. Over time, kangaroo meat, sourced from wild animals, has become more accessible, even being exported to various parts of the world. This practice has established Australia's terrestrial fauna trade as one of the largest globally, with commercial kangaroo hunting standing out as the biggest on the planet. When opting for this meat, it's advisable to select suppliers that adopt ethical and sustainable business practices, following standards that ensure responsible harvesting. In Australia, kangaroo meat is a sought-after culinary option, available in supermarkets and restaurants, reaffirming its status as an exotic and readily available food in the market. Number 6. Ready for a storyline that mixes politics and TV entertainment? Back in 2010, Australia witnessed an unusual clash of agendas between the prime ministerial debate involving candidates Julia Gillard and Tony Abbott, and the grand finale of the cooking show, MasterChef. With expectations that the MasterChef finale would draw in about 4 million viewers, organizers rescheduled the political debate, which usually took place at 7:30 p.m. on the first Sunday after the election announcement. To avoid overlapping with the acclaimed cooking show, the debate was pushed up to 6:30 p.m. This rearrangement highlighted the colossal popularity of MasterChef and its significant impact on Australian TV programming, to the extent of altering the timing of a major political debate. Number 7. Ever imagined someone trying to sell a country online? In a quirky and bold attempt, an Australian put New Zealand up for sale on eBay, kicking off the auction with just $1. The eccentric idea quickly made headlines, and the auction saw bids climb up to $3,000 before eBay shut it down, clarifying that New Zealand, obviously, couldn't be sold. This peculiar attempt was made by an individual known as Butterfield, sparking mixed reactions of humor and controversy. Winston Peters, who was the New Zealand Minister of Foreign Affairs at the time, dubbed the action as complete nonsense. Not content with the initial buzz, Butterfield tried to revive his feat in 2019, creating a GoFundMe campaign to sell New Zealand again, showing that his quirky, adventurous spirit was still alive and kicking. So this curious tale reveals one man's attempt to sell New Zealand, an act that blended audacity with a touch of comedy. Number 8. Did you know there are specific rules in Australia about who can change a light bulb? Over there, swapping bulbs is usually a job reserved for licensed electricians. This rule was put in place with safety and adherence to national electrical standards in mind, as even seemingly simple tasks like changing a light bulb can pose electrical risks. However, the enforcement of this rule varies depending on the Australian state. For example, in Victoria, there are exceptions that allow residents to change their own light bulbs, while in Queensland, electrical safety legislation is stricter, requiring only licensed professionals to carry out such work, emphasizing that changing light bulbs is a task not to be underestimated. Ever stop to think about the massive amount of beer Australians knock back each year? Down under, beer's more than just a drink. It's woven into the culture and national identity, an essential element in social gatherings, from lively parties to laid-back backyard barbies. The numbers are truly staggering. Aussies chug down about 1.7 billion liters of beer annually. No joke, we're talking a volume that would stack up to over 680 bottles per adult every year. And to add more froth to this brew, the average per capita consumption in Australia hovered around 38.67 liters in recent years, peaking at 4.4 liters of strong beer per person in the fiscal year of 2018. Clearly then, beer's more than just a beverage in Australia. It's a symbol of camaraderie and a cornerstone of Aussie social life, reflecting the locals' love for this golden, bubbly brew. Number 10. Ever wondered how law and order were maintained in the early days of Australian colonization? Let's rewind to the early days of colonization when chaos reigned supreme and crime was rampant. In this tumultuous period, there wasn't a formal police force to enforce order, and the efforts of British naval marines fell short in controlling the rising crime. That's when Governor Phillip, a visionary man, recognized the urgent need to establish a local security force. Taking the lead, he created the Night Watch, the first attempt to institute a police force. And here's the quirkiest detail. This initial group wasn't made up of trained law officers, but of 12 prisoners who had shown good behavior. These unlikely individuals were the pioneers of the police force in Australia, tasked with restoring order in the young colony. So we find out that Australia's first police force was comprised of well-behaved convicts, a fact that reveals the unique and unexpected origins of the law enforcement system in the country.